To educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'm the host of this show. I'll be with you this morning from 8 till 9. We broadcast live every morning from 8 a.m. till 9 a.m., and our show repeats 8 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. On Saturday, we do a 3-hour show that does not repeat. However, every show that we do is hosted up on YouTube for your perusal at your leisure, and we encourage that you participate in that. You can find those at youtube.com/America's Voice Now. We also have a Facebook page, which I encourage you to get to, and you don't have to be a Facebook member because this is what we call a public page. They allow public pages for things like personalities or news people and so forth and so on. This is our public page. So even if you don't like to be a part of the Facebook crew, you can still get to our Facebook page and see all of the content that we post there. I strongly encourage you to do that because we post an enormous amount of material up there every day, multiple stories, links to different videos and stories that you should be watching and be aware of. I throw a little bit of commentary in there every once in a while, and we post up articles and comments from listeners. Pretty much, you know, there's images up there. There's all kinds of things that you really should be aware of. Again, even if you're not a Facebook user or you don't have a Facebook account, that's fine. You can still go to that website and capture our information there, and I would encourage you to do that. You know, being educated is part of the process here, and the best way that you can become educated is to see and hear what's going on around you. Our website, as well, is open for anyone, and you don't have to be, again, a member. You can simply go to our website at americasvoicenow.org. We recently also placed up a brand new page on the Tea Party community, which is kind of like a Facebook system, but for conservative political thought, and that is called teapartycommunity.com/America's Voice Now. Now, if you're not a member, I'm not sure if you can actually see that information or not. I would encourage you to try to get over there. If you are a Tea Party community member, please go on there and like that page because it helps us to get the word out to other members of the community, and it will help us to increase the influence of our show. And that's what we're all about, folks, is increasing influence. So this morning, I want to talk to you a little bit about influence because we posted an article this morning about how police removed an infant boy from a home in California after the parents sought a second medical opinion. Now, this is a 5-month-old, and the child has been diagnosed with a heart murmur. The parents are Russian emigres, and they live in Sacramento, California. And these parents basically took their child in when he had a flu or flu-like symptoms, and they brought the child to the hospital, which is called Sutter Memorial. Now, Sutter Memorial is the home hospital for these folks, and they're aware of the child's heart condition and so forth and so on. It is a heart murmur, not a heart condition. And as many of us are aware, you know, lots of people have heart murmurs, especially early in life. Sometimes they grow out of them, sometimes they don't. When they arrived at the hospital, the child was taken to the intensive care unit, and the parent or the mother witnessed a doctor or a nurse giving the child antibiotics. Now, through an intravenous needle. Now, the mother knew that the doctor had instructed that no antibiotic should be given to the child based on the fact of his medical history. And she asked the nurse, "What is that for?" And the nurse said, "Well, I don't know." And then the mother said, well, you're working as a nurse and you don't know what you're giving my baby? And so the doctor confirmed that, yes, that was correct, that the baby should not have been given antibiotics, which right off the bat smells of malpractice to me. However, they did tell the mother that they wanted to immediately place the child for open heart surgery and perform open heart as soon as possible. Now, this is on a 5-month-old. So the parents basically wanted a second opinion. And the doctors were adamantly against the parents getting a second opinion. Now, with all due respect, I don't know any doctor who's got any level of credibility that doesn't say you're entitled to go get a second opinion, and here's a few doctors that you might want to visit to get some sort of an idea. Well, instead, the parents basically took the child out of the hospital without the proper discharge papers. They basically scooped up their child and went to an alternative hospital, which is called Kaiser Permanente Medical Center. Now, Kaiser Permanente, if you're not aware, is a hospital chain, and they're a huge chain. They are a massive hospital, and they are well respected and well recognized. I mean, this isn't like some, family doctor that they went to who doesn't have experience or knowledge in reference to infant heart problems. So while the Nikolaevs, that's their names, were at the hospital with the baby, apparently the police arrived. And they arrived because they had been called by the doctors at Sutter Memorial. Now, if this doesn't smell to you of 1984 and vast overreach, I don't know what does. But she had a note from the doctor at Kaiser Permanente which read, "I do not have concern for the safety of the child at home with his parents." Quote, end quote. So here you've got another doctor who says the kid is fine with his parents, and we're going to take a look at his records and determine what the situation is. The police saw that the baby was fine, Anna told News 10. Quote, "They told us that Sutter was telling them so much bad stuff that they thought this baby was dying in our arms. So police saw the report from doctors and said, quote, okay, you guys have a good day," and walked away. Literally, the next day, the Nikolaevs got a knock on their door from police, along with representatives from Child Protective Services. They had no warrant. The police let themselves in to the Nikolaevs' home. No warrant, and they didn't ask for permission to enter. They came in and entered and told the father, "We're here to take your baby, and there's nothing that you can do, so just sit back quietly and leave us alone to do our job." They grabbed the baby from the mother's arms and walked out. Now, the entire event was recorded because Anna had a camera set up in the living room, and for whatever reason, the entire event was recorded. Sutter Memorial made no comment on what has occurred so far. They basically are stating that due to privacy laws, they have no right to talk about the case because it would affect the privacy of the child. That is a CYA-CS excuse, and I don't like it one bit. CPS, which is Child Protection Services, says the same thing. They cannot comment on the case due to privacy laws. But a representative of CPS, which is Child Protection Services, said, "We conduct a risk assessment of the child's safety and rely heavily on the direction of healthcare providers." Meanwhile, the child is now in protective custody at Sutter Memorial Hospital, and the parents are able to visit him for an hour last Thursday. Now, a court hearing is scheduled for yesterday, and quite frankly, I'm not sure what the update is on this. I don't know whether or not they've been given the child back or what the status is. What I can tell you is this. This, ladies and gentlemen, smells of everything that's wrong with America. When you, as a parent, simply seek to have a second opinion about something as life critical as open heart surgery on a 5-month-old, but that hospital is so desperate to control your life and your existence and the life of your child, ladies and gentlemen, there's something desperately, desperately wrong. I don't give a damn what you call yourself. You have no right to take a parent or take a child from a parent under the guise of protection. Not like that. Not for this. I'm telling you, I'm smoking hot. This whole video, and there's videos posted up all over our Facebook page. We'll be back in just a minute.
If you're looking for a new or used pistol, shotgun, or rifle, West Plains Pawn and Gun has over 450 firearms in stock. All your favorite models like Beretta, Glock, Smith & Wesson, Kimber, and many, many more. West Plains Pawn and Gun is also a Class 3 arms dealer, so if they don't have it on the shelf, West Plains Pawn and Gun can order it for you. Even those hard-to-get guns. West Plains Pawn and Gun, 1713 U.S. Highway 160 West in West Plains, or online at westplainspawn.com.
It's a call and make your voice heard on the biggest issues making headlines today, or on absolutely anything in your head. Every call I get goes on the air totally unscreened. It's unpredictable and uncensored, and you'll never know what to expect. Anything can and will happen on the next Alan Combs Show.
And that's who you can catch every weeknight, 9 till midnight. The Alan Combs Show on the Ozarks Best News Talk, 107.1 The Point, Monday through Friday.
All right, we're back. You know, I'll tell you what, this whole situation is so disturbing. There's a video link posted up on our Facebook page where this couple is being interviewed by a news organization. And the parents clearly state that this hospital has made one mistake after another. And they don't want to allow their baby to have surgery in a hospital where they don't feel that it's safe. I mean, apparently, if they're giving antibiotics to a child against doctor's orders, and the nurse is not even cognizant of what she's shooting into the baby's arm, I would be in the same position. I would say, as that parent, I'm taking my kid out of here, and there ain't a damn thing you have to say about it. So I gotta wonder where we are in our nation, where we, as American citizens, allow this kind of abuse to go on. Because there's something desperately wrong where a hospital can determine whether or not you have the right as a parent to take care of your child. You see, this falls right in line with the Department of Justice and Eric the Traitor Holder's latest statement, and that stupid idiot from MSLSD, Harris, Melissa Harris. Something hyphen Harris. I've forgotten what her last name is. Anytime I see a woman's last name hyphenated, I don't really even care if women are offended by that. That's such a pile of bunk. Stop with the women's lib. Let's just move on, okay? You have a right to vote. You have the right to live. That's all great, but you got no right to sit there and, I don't know. Well, you do have a right to do it, I guess, if you want to. But, the whole idea of where protective custody services or child protective services can go out there literally and take a child from the parent's house at gunpoint without a warrant, without any information or authorization or documentation, based on the statement of one person in a hospital. I'll tell you right now, that just blows my mind. Go ahead, caller. Turn your radio off.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I was mainly calling you, letting you know most of your stuff ain't on the air.
It is broadcasting. I just tested it myself.
It is just now. But anyway, yeah, I think that's ridiculous. There's no sense in that. And anybody's entitled to a second opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a standard...
a doctor just operate on one of my kids without a second opinion.
It's standard in the industry, and it's standard practice for anyone facing surgery to get multiple opinions. You would get a second opinion about having surgery on your shoulder. Why would you not have second opinions about getting surgery on your heart, much less your 5-month-old? I mean, it's unconscionable and inconceivable that this hospital would take such an affront to having a second opinion requested that you've got to question and wonder about their motive.
Yes, sir. I'd give at least 3 opinions, but you off the air again.
Well, thank you very much. when you talk about having a 5-month-old where you are determined to get to the bottom of a situation where this child has a heart problem, and you're looking at something as major on a 5-month-old as open heart surgery, you're entitled to as many dag-nabbed opinions as you want to get. So the real question here is, what does CPS stand for? There's one kind of an interesting story on a website called Mr. Conservative I visit from time to time. He changes the acronym from Child Protective Services to Causes Parental Suffering. And I have to tell you, there are so many instances of children who are abused while under Child Protective Services and while being monitored. These are parents that are, or foster parents or whatever, that are being monitored, and children who are put into services, foster care services, by these parents on a temporary, or with these parents on a temporary basis. And it turns out that these parents either starve or beat or abuse or sexually molest these kids. I gotta wonder, who the hell do these people think they are? I mean, to me, it is just inconceivable that you would sit there and say, with a track record like Child Protective Services has, that they have the right to make a determination about the health and welfare of your child when you have done nothing but exhibited good parental skills by doing exactly what they did, getting a second opinion. Now, if the hospital doesn't like the fact that they didn't fill out paperwork to leave, that's a civil issue on the hospital side. But it has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not a parent is doing a good job as a parent. I mean, if their shorts were burned because these parents refused to do the checkout procedure, I mean, what the heck is that? How do you justify illegal behavior on the part of law enforcement and a state agency for a parent's right to have a second opinion? It was illegal behavior. They walked in there, they used the police to commit an act of force. These police went in without a warrant, on the say-so of CPS, who took the word of a doctor or somebody at that hospital to go in there and snatch this baby from the parent's arms. I'm telling you, that is just beyond. I'll tell you what, this parent would have been justified to have fought back physically against that kind of kidnapping. And that's exactly what it is. It's kidnapping. Just because it's committed by a law enforcement office or a CPS organization is no less the definition of kidnapping. And I'm telling you right now, I pray that these parents have these people brought up on criminal, not civil. The heck with the lawsuit. The state can just print more money or tax the snot out of somebody else to cover it. I want to see criminal charges against people who act criminally. And just because they're in government doesn't give them a free pass. Where does that mentality come from? Where? I've invited Colonel Raplogel. I've invited Jay Nixon onto this show to explain their actions on the CCW issue. They illegally stole the identities of 163,247 Missouri residents and handed that information off illegally to the Social Security Administration, the ATF, and we don't even know whom else. How do you allow, just because someone wears a label that says government, how do we allow them to commit crime? How? The Senate just passed, and the House, and Obama just signed into law a repeal of the law that says Congress cannot do insider trading. First of all, I don't even know why we have to have a law that says Congress can't do insider trading. We already have laws against it. Just because you're in Congress doesn't give you a free get-out-of-jail card pass. Number one. Number two, they actually passed the law to say Congress cannot do this. They cannot use the inside information they gain as sitting members of committees entitled to all kinds of secret information, secret economic information, secret information about companies, who's being charged criminally, who's being indicted, what kind of investigations are going on, and use that information to manipulate their own market accounts to benefit themselves. I mean, let's be candid. Let's just take one example. You sit on some sort of a justice commission, and you know that somebody is being investigated over at XYZ Corporation. And before the news leaks out, you know that that's going to drag that stock down 30 points. So what you do is you either short sell or you sell your stock, wait until the crash comes, and then buy it all back. I mean, look, folks, that's against the law. And it's against good moral and ethical behavior. Nobody doubts that. Nobody has to be told that. We don't need a law dictating and indicating that it's against the law for Congress to use inside information to benefit their own pockets. Go ahead, caller.
You're not on the air. I'm calling long distance by phone. This is such bad news. I don't have computers or anything else to listen. You better get with your technicians there and tell them.
All right. So the real issue here is that at this point, we have so many examples, so many violations of all that is good and right, so many moral and ethical dilemmas about where our nation has fallen apart. I just don't understand how we can allow Congress to sit here and do what they do to us. Now, this president knows full well that Congress is entitled to an enormous amount of flexibility in information. So when you've got a president that sits here and says that it is acceptable for Congress to break the law, knowing full well that a law was just passed to bar that from happening, and now he repeals that law, I don't know what else you call that, folks. What do you call that? Is that an abuse of power? Is that a question of who paid me off? I mean, I don't know. Is it called, what do you call it? What do you call that issue? I mean, here we've got a Congress that is privy to all kinds of insider information. And this president actually has the nerve to sign a document that gives them immunity from prosecution. Harry Reid has been investigated over and over and over and over again for dirty land deals. These are land deals where he goes out and buys a piece of land that's scrub desert land, then gets a federal road put in right next to it, and then turns around and rolls the land over for literally tens of millions of dollars of profit. Why is this happening in our nation? I'll tell you why. When we come back from this break, we're going to talk about why our nation has descended into tyranny and why we already live in a police state. Because we do. We live in a police state. We live in a state where the elites are given special privilege, where corporations buy influence. We have the best Congress money can buy, where Child Protective Services can snatch a baby from its parents' arms based on the say-so of some doctor who has, for all intents and purposes, no credibility, because this is the same doctor that allowed antibiotics to be given to a child which you'd already previously stated shouldn't have antibiotics. We're talking about parents who simply want, I mean, look, these parents took their child from a hospital and took him to another hospital that would give them a second opinion. They didn't go out drinking. They didn't take the child home and throw a party. They didn't take the child home and sit in front of the retard boob tube. They didn't take their child and go to the beach. They took their child from hospital A and went immediately to hospital B. You justified that kind of treatment from causes parental suffering instead of child protective services. And you explain to me how that works. You explain to me how that is even justifiable in any way, shape, or form. We'll be back in just a moment.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. President Obama takes reporters' questions in 45 minutes at the White House. We're not told what, if anything, he'll speak about first. After complaints the first form was too complicated, a new application for insurance under the new health care law.
Officials say this new form is significantly shorter, but you'll have to go in depth about your income so the feds can figure out if you qualify for government health care help. And that means you'll have to provide pay stubs, W-2s, and other income data.
Fox News Radio's Rich Johnson. An Israeli airstrike in Gaza against a militant on a motorcycle.
It's what they call a pinpoint killing of a man called Hitham Mishal, who the Israelis claim was responsible for manufacturing a rocket that was used to fire on Eilat from the Sinai, which is Egyptian territory.
Sam Kiley with Sky News in Jerusalem. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Get a hold of Brian down at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance. You can call him at 870-492-4030, or you can find him on the web at ozarkmtnselfreliance.com. Located a half mile east of Walmart and Route 62 in Mountain Home. My friends over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery at 255-2253, number 2 Evans Arcade off the square in West Plains. Best damn bakery in 100 miles. You can reach Mary at 255-2253. My friend Bill Stone over at Stone Construction at 293-0116. Whether remodeling or doing new or custom construction or light commercial, Bill's the guy for you. 293-0116. West Plains Pawn and Gun, located on Route 160, just about a mile east of Walmart on the right-hand side. westplainspawn.com. You can also reach them by a telephone at 417-256-3000. Friends over at the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue, right off the square in West Plains. You can find them on the web at batterystation.com, and you can call them at 417-257-7799. Also, don't forget to stop by Pizza Hut for an outstanding lunch special between 11 and 2. Salad and pasta all together. You can also visit them on Tuesday evenings for family night. Kids eat free under 12. And Jason over at Wits End Classic Barbershop, the sponsor of our telephone line. Make sure that you see Wits End Classic Barbershop for your next shave and a haircut. Outstanding, fine young man and a great patriot as well. He's on the square in West Plains.
Everybody knows Crossroads Convenience has the coldest beer in town, but did you also know they have U-Haul rentals available 7 days a week? The best hot beverage selection of coffee and cappuccinos to help keep your body warm during these colder Ozark days and nights. That's Crossroads Convenience in West Plains.
If you missed America's Voice Now at 8 a.m. this morning, catch a repeat of America's Voice Now with your host, Michael Evans, at 8 p.m. every night, Monday through Friday, right here on 107.1, the Ozark's best news talk radio network.
News Talk 107.1 The Point weather sponsorships are available for your business marketing plans. Contact Cody or Josh at 255-2548 for more information.
From the Point Weather Center, for this morning, a clear skies, sunshine through the day with a high of 82, mainly clear tonight, low 56. Tomorrow's going to be a sunny day with a high near 80, partly cloudy tomorrow night, low 50, cloudy and cooler with showers Thursday, high 64. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
The further we reach out, the closer we all become. Hey, it's Nate Cooper here with the Ozark's Best News Talk 107.1 The Point. I invite you to join us Sunday mornings. The program is a combination of local and national known speakers. So I encourage you to do two things. Listen in on Sunday mornings from 8 until noon and find out how you can become a sponsor of one of the programs. Just call our offices at 255-0427. Beyond the Point, Sundays on the Ozark's Best News Talk 107.1.
All right, we're returning. We have a quick comment from a caller that I'd like to bring on. And go ahead, ma'am. Welcome to the show.
Hi. I just wanted to say it just feels so frustrating to me that we catch these people being unethical and doing things that are illegal, and we put more and more laws in place. But then we have people like our state attorney general who won't even enforce the laws that are there.
Sure. We have an attorney general, Chris Koster, who has refused to do anything about this massive transfer of data. In fact, that's why CCW holders are going into their sheriff's office and filing identity theft charges against Jay Nixon and the Missouri Department of Revenue and Missouri Highway Patrol and Replogle and the guy who left, who resigned from DOR, and the governor himself. Because what our attorney general won't do, we're going to force him to do. And if you're a CCW holder in the state of Missouri, your information was compromised and given to third-party agencies who had no right to it. And so you should be going down, and if you have not done so already, you should be filing identity theft charges at your local sheriff's office. And then Chris Koster will be inundated with literally thousands of complaints that he will have to take action upon. You see, you're absolutely right, miss. Here's the simple deal. We are either going to control and take our nation back as we the people, or we are going to lose all control whatsoever and literally just descend and abdicate to slavery. Those are really the only two choices that we have. I mean, that's it. There's no other option. And yes, we have, I mean, as you pointed out, we have Congress out here, doing whatever they want to do, giving themselves free passes. This insider trading thing is just abomination. You've got law enforcement going out there and stealing a kid from its parents. Based on what? Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. So, I mean, when you have, how do we, what is your recommendation? What's your suggestion? I get it. They keep passing new laws, but they're worthless.
Exactly. It almost looks like this is the only option is for the American citizens to go in and force legal action ourselves, because no one's going to do it on our behalf. Well, and it doesn't matter how many laws we try to get passed. If they won't enforce them, they don't protect us.
Well, they only pass the ones that benefit them, never the ones that benefit you.
Well, I'm just thinking of Protect Missouri and
sure.
Some of those things.
Well,
and like the insider trading that we did get passed, and they're just nullifying it.
Right. I mean, they did it silently while this Boston thing was going on, so that nobody would be really any the wiser that it was happening. And in fact, you don't even hear the mainstream media talking about it. You never hear about it. The only way that this story has come out is because alternative media solutions, like America's Voice Now and lots of other radio folks and people who write blogs and keep their own, have effectively created electronic newspapers, have, for all intents and purposes, educated the American populace about what's happening right underneath their feet. And they don't even realize that the sea is, that the water's coming up and it's racing up, right up to our noses. Listen, that's why I suggested this 90 days that will change the world plan, because I don't see any alternative for a peaceable solution here unless we get off of our duffs and commit civil disobedience and literally seize Washington and the capital of each state and say to them, we're not leaving until you do. That's it. We're repealing all of this crap you've passed. We're dumping all of these federal agencies. Enough with the clean air, the clean water, the clean health care, I don't care about it anymore. Yank it all back, remove all of it, repeal all of it, and let's start fresh with the Constitution as the foundational document. Anything less is unacceptable, because anything else means that we're willing to accept some slavery instead of total capitulation to slavery. You follow?
Exactly. I don't know what else we can do, because we're not the country we were when we were founded.
We're not the country we were 10 years ago. We're not the country we were 40 years ago. We're not the country we were 100 years ago. And every year, it only gets worse. I mean, the concept of where we've gone and how far we've fallen is so incrementalized for us that we don't even realize the gradations that we've gone through to get to the point where we are. And that's exactly how they do it. They want it to be simple. They want it to be slow. They want it to be a graduated process, because you don't recognize the fact that you're being enslaved when the process is graduated. If they just came out there and slammed cuffs on you and chained you to a wall, you'd get it. But if they make you feel like by putting your arm up against the wall and putting your own arm in the cuff, slowly but surely over a course of years or even decades, you're not even aware of the fact that you've enslaved yourself. I mean, we're building the walls of our own prisons here, folks. And at the end of the day, we're going to find out that we're building this prison from the inside, which means that when it's finished, we can't leave.
What it feels like.
Thank you for your insight and wisdom on that. I appreciate you. People, look, we are at a point now where we need to, I'm going to tell you something. On the 18th of May, there is going to be a rally over at the Civic Center in West Plains. And the reason I'm going to talk to you about this now is because we have got to push this boil to the point where it's either going to burst or it's going to poison us. This thing has gotten to a stage where we can no longer sit back and wait for some alternative solution. You've heard me use the phrase before many times that we are beyond salvage. And we are. This existing infrastructure that we have of government and layers upon layers upon layers of laws passed by tyrants and treasonists is beyond salvage. It's not optional for us to continue along this line. Because if we say, well, we're just going to correct things going from this point forward, you're accepting the 100 years of treason that have been committed upon you before that. The foundations and the groundwork have already been laid. The chains are already upon you. What we must do is take our nation back civilly through civil disobedience, peacefully. We can stand up and say, we're just not going to play anymore. We're taking our money, and we're taking our game, and we're taking our dice, and we're going to a new game. And you're done. You're out. Without us, you have no power. Without our money, you have no money. Without our vote, you have no power. And here's the deal. I mean, I've seen dozens of people who have watched that Enough is Enough video and the 90 Days That Will Change the World video up on YouTube. Literally dozens of them, who have come out and said, well, the DHS is going to kill you. If you have 10,000 people visiting Washington, they'll just kill all 10,000. Let me tell you something. If that's your real actual belief, if you are stupid enough to think that, let me warn you about something. That is exactly what I am talking about. Any nation that would descend upon 10,000 protesters and kill them for their beliefs is not a government I want. How insane can you be? You've proven my point beyond a shadow of a doubt. If that is truly the truth, if that is your greatest fear, if that is really the factual aspects of this thing, that when you have literally millions of Americans who will seize and put under siege this government, and they will retaliate with force, you've got all the proof that you need that it's not tinfoil hat conspiracy crap, it's real. You don't need me to tell you it's real. You've got the proof all over around you. You're just unwilling to accept that which you know to already be true. Why? You're refusing to accept and acknowledge the proof that is directly in front of your face. You see it every day. You hear about it in every news story that's out there. Time and time and time again. Piles and piles. Legislation every day that is treasonous, that is continuously closing the trap. Mike Walters talked about the scenario of how do you catch a pig in the jungle? Well, you build a wall one day. First of all, you drop food there, and you wait a couple of days, and you keep dropping food every day. And the pigs come and eat the food. Then you put up one single wall, and you drop the food in front of the wall. Then a week later, after continuously feeding them every day, you build a second wall, so you've got a right angle now, and you continuously drop food there. Then the next day, you build a third wall. And you do this so on and so forth until you put a roof on it. Then, eventually, you put a trap door in place. And after about a week or 2 weeks of this kind of behavior and this kind of behavioral training, they step right into the trap willingly. America, the trap is snapped shut on us already. Don't you get it? We are already inside the prison of our own design. We are already inside the walls which we have built with our hands, our sweat, our blood, our money, our treasure, and they have sealed the door behind us. Now, we are left with only two alternatives. We can peacefully attempt to take our nation back by civil disobedience and mass, and I mean massive protest. Massive declaration. We don't leave until you do. Or we can wait until the shooting actually begins and they start killing people, and at that point, then you're obligated to utilize the Second Amendment for the mutually assured destruction insanity it was designed for. Those are the only options, people. I mean, listen, you can sit there and try to finesse this any way you want, but we're down to two solutions. Civil disobedience, uncivil disobedience. I choose civil disobedience as a last recourse in an attempt to thwart the destruction of our union and our republic and the deaths of, for all we know, millions. We'll be right back.
The area's best selection of firearms and ammunition can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry. Top-of-the-line handguns from Kimber, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Glock, Beretta, and many more. A wide selection of ammunition including blanks, centerfire handgun and rifle, rimfire, a variety of shotgun shells, target, and turkey. With new arrivals every week, the area's best selection of firearms and ammunition can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry, 1713 West U.S. Highway 160, or shop online at westplainspawn.com.
America's Voice Now, delivering truth over mainstream propaganda every single day. Hi, my name is Michael Evans, and I'm your host, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., and Saturday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. Join me daily for important guests and my unique slant on hot topics in the news. Visit americasvoicenow.org for even more news, articles, and commentary, and watch our show streaming live to your PC. Share your morning with me. Get educated, informed, motivated, and activated. America's Voice Now, right here on 107.1.
Howell County Bank, branch of Bank at Thayer, locally owned and operated since 1900. It's not what they do, it's how they do it. Roger London, president of Howell County Bank. Is it true that banks don't have money to lend?
And that's just not true. All the area banks have money to loan. We certainly do, and it's just a case of lack of confidence right now. We certainly have money to loan and welcome customers to come in and apply.
At Howell County Bank, it truly is not what they do, but how they do it. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
If you're looking for great deals on iPads or Kindles, look no further than your neighborhood Radio Shack authorized sales center. They've got great deals on the latest iPads and Kindles. Maybe you need a new GPS or an MP3 player to get your music library ready for those barbecues. Whatever your electronic needs, stop by your local neighborhood Radio Shack authorized dealer in West Plains at 1408 Southern Hills Shopping Center or call 417-256-1819.
I'm reminded to remind you. I'm forced to remind you. I'm driven to remind you. Is your life, is life itself, is this madhouse that you run in and race to from day to day, is that so dear? Is that so valuable to you? Is your petty race to gather all of the material junk that you can get? Is your path to he who dies with the most toys wins mentality so strong in you? Is your willingness to accede to tyranny so sweet? Is your desire for non-confrontation, peace, fear, your capitulation to it, is that so sweet that you would purchase that at the price of slavery and chains? Is your life really so treasured, so valuable, so wonderful that you are willing to allow your children to be enslaved so that you can spend the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years living like you live today? I don't know about you. Personally, I find that life, with all of its fast-paced momentum and hustle and bustle and rush to do this and get that and got to do this, got to do that, all these commitments, all these responsibilities, got to pay the bills, got to have this, got to have that, got to get this for the kid because otherwise he's going to scream bloody murder. If that's what you consider life to be worth, if that's the way that you envision living the remainder of your life, if your race to get the toys, if your race to have the luxuries is so critically important to you that you're willing to accede to not only your but your children's slavery, I pity you. I truly pity you. And in fact, I'm going to go one step further. I don't just pity you, I hate you. Because you stand for everything that I don't. You stand for everything that is wrong with this nation. You are selfish. You are small-minded. You are easily bribed. You have no integrity and you have no honor. And you are willing to avoid confrontation, to be abused, to be beaten, to be oppressed, as long as the toys keep flowing. If that's who you really are, you and I have nothing further to discuss. In fact, I would appreciate it if you would not listen to this program. I don't need that kind of support. I need support from everyday Americans who recognize that where we are is unacceptable and that what is being forced upon us and shoved down our throat is tyranny personified. I need Americans who are going to listen to the clarion call, the wake-up call for all able-bodied men and women in our community, in our cities, in our towns, in our villages. I don't care if your town is 50 people, or if it's 50,000, or if it's 5 million. This is a clarion call to all of America. It is time to awaken. The battle has been joined. There is a battle being waged right now. And whether or not you admit it, you're in it. It's being waged against you. It's being waged against the family. It's being waged against your children. It's being waged against your employer. It's being waged against our military. It's being waged against innocence. It's being waged against life. It's being waged against liberty. It's being waged against your property. It's being waged against every aspect of what you know to be right. It is a battle that is as clear and as stark as one could ever hope to see. It is the battle between good and evil. It is the battle between the darkness and the light. It is the battle between righteousness and evil. This is a battle for our very existence. This is a battle for our very life. And it is a battle for the lives of those who you claim to love. So if you are not willing to take up the torch, if you are not willing to stand with me and stand in the breach, then find another place to listen. Find another place to go. crawl back into your hole of selfishness and narcissism and go away. These things are all connected. They are all connected. You can dispute that. You can try to massage the facts and say it's a series of coincidences. But if a man is standing in your living room and it's after midnight and he's wearing dark clothing and he's got a ski mask over his face and he's holding an axe in one hand and a gun in the other, and he's got your family jewels spilling out of his pocket and one of your children by the scruff of his neck, how do you deny his intent? You wouldn't say, "What are you doing?" You would say, "Drop him now or I will drop you." How dare you be so weak? How dare you be so afraid that you would allow yourself and your wife or your husband and your children, as small as they are and as innocent as they are, to be stolen from you? You had better be up to the battle. We're either going to fight this battle or we're going to run and hide. But the tyranny will not cease because we run and hide. At some point in every battle, one must stand on the field of battle and meet the enemy. And we have chosen to allow them to invade and steal towns and villages and steal our children. We have allowed them to take our goods and beat and oppress us. We have allowed them to betray us as they promise they're doing the right thing. Is life so dear or your peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? I don't know what course others will take. But as for me, give me liberty or give me death. The time has come for you to choose a side. Do you choose the light or do you choose the dark? The choice is yours. God has given you the wonderful gift of free will. Free will to create and formulate your own thoughts and your own opinions. Free will to direct your own actions. He's also given you the free will to defend yourself and your family. I'm reminded of a movie called We Were Soldiers once, where a group of our men are surrounded in Vietnam, and the enemy is approaching from all sides. And the sergeant major looks over at these men and he says, "Gentlemen, prepare to defend yourselves." That is where we are. Cower in a hole and die, or fight back. The choice is yours. You're listening to America's Voice Now. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
From West Plains, Missouri, it's KBMV Birch Tree, the Ozarks' best news talk.